Hi everyone, it's Walter here from Ride the World Motorcycle Tours, and I'm joined by my business partners David Reeves and Nick Phillips. And today's webinar is all about David's birthday ride on Route 66, all the way from Chicago to LA. It's going to be an amazing trip. Before we go any further, I'd just like to give you a bit of a rundown on who we are and what we do. As I said, my name's Walter, and I joined up with David Reeves a few years ago. David was running a business in Sydney, Australia, where he was taking people on his Harley on tours around Sydney and around the general area. And we had a discussion, and from that, Ride the World Motorcycle Tours was created with a view of our international departures and arrivals. So we've expanded quite considerably over the last few years. We also are very privileged to be joined by Nick, who has substantial experience in taking tours around the US. And we'll hear from Nick in the next couple of webinars, particularly about his experiences in Sturgis, which is really second to none. We currently offer tours in the US, Europe, Vietnam, South Africa, and here in Australia. And we offer a variety of different choices. So we do have everything from as simple as hiring a motorcycle in any of those countries or areas and being able to just go ride yourself. We do offer some standard self-guided tours. We also have our scheduled supplier departures. So what this means is that our suppliers in most of those countries or regions have already established set departures, which we can feed into. So you'll be riding with people not necessarily from Australia. They could be from all over the world, all feeding into particular departure dates and itineraries. So some great options on our website to have a look at there. On top of that, we have decided to craft our own self-ride tours. These are designed for Australians and New Zealanders at this stage, focusing on the US. And we'll show you an example of that on the next slide. But really, these are being honed by our skills between David, Nick, and myself, our expertise in the US, our expertise in tourism, and places that we know that we can experience that are beyond the ride and beyond what you would normally see when you are traveling through these areas. So they are amazing self-ride itineraries. And in 2024, we will convert at least one or two of those into part of our Elite series. Speaking of our Elite series, this is for the discerning motorcyclist. These are staying at 4.5, 5-star properties as we go through the US. At this stage, we'll be adding on some destinations in 2024 and 2025. These tours are limited to a maximum number of 14 riders, plus passengers in our seat and van option. I'll talk about that in just a moment. We also are escorting this ourselves, so this is a director's tours. We leave nothing to chance. It is definitely, as I said earlier, for the more discerning rider who wants to travel in a small group, experience things that, as our tagline says, are beyond the ride. The ride itself is always going to be fantastic. But what we wanted to create was visiting all those places that oftentimes we as motorcyclists miss because we're in a hurry to get from point A to point B. But it's certainly worth going and exploring, and it takes our tours in these areas to a whole different level. We also have introduced our seat and van option. Now, this is on our Elite series, and this has been created very much for those family and friends who would like to join us. They're not necessarily motorcyclists, and we know for some of our partners, they don't mind being on the back of the bike as a pillion, for a day or two, but they really don't want to spend a week or 2 weeks on the back of the bike. So we can actually get them into the van, and nice days they can ride with us, or if they just feel like a bit of a rest, they can hop back in the van. We also have had a number of requests from people who are non-motorcyclists. They just love the structure of our itineraries and would like to come along on this as a pure tour. So they are also have the option of buying our seat and van options as well. So keep all of those in mind. On the next slide, as we turn over to here, you'll see we've just given a couple of examples. The top line there you can see are the Ride the World Motorcycle Tours crafted self-ride tours. And the first two on there are both based out of Montana. No, they're not. They're both based out of Wyoming. From Billings to Billings, Montana. I was right in the first place, wasn't I, David and Nick?
You were.
Thank you. Yeah, get myself confused. There we go. That's what happens when you do a live recording. So Great America West from Billings, we head actually through to North Dakota, head down to South Dakota, back around to Montana. We've taken so much on this tour. It is amazing. We also have from Missoula around to Missoula a slightly shorter tour, but these can be back-to-back and taking in that whole region up north called the Great American West, which if you have not been there, there is so much to see and do. It's absolutely worth exploring if you have been to the US a few times. Now, Las Vegas is always a favorite option for everyone, so we do have tours going out of Las Vegas. We have the option to be able to drop from Las Vegas down onto Route 66 through Arizona. And this is just a great ride, so much to see and do on this stretch of Route 66. But also too, from Las Vegas, we can drop down and go around through all the canyon lands and as a big loop back around to Las Vegas. All of this information is on our website, so have a look at those. There's some great riding options. Now, with our Elite Series for 2023, we only have 3 that we were operating this year. So we obviously have David's tour going from Chicago to LA, which David will explain all about as we go through this series today. Then we have our New Orleans to Sturgis tour, which is 21 days. It is just a great tour going from the south up to the north. And then we have our ultimate Nevada road trip. If you think that you know anything about the US, think again. Nevada has this incredible package of deserts, loneliest road, aliens. Of course, we've got the casinos, we've got Reno, and we also do spend a little bit of time down on that Route 66 route that we have as part of our Las Vegas options. So we got those coming up as well. Again, all the information on our website, and we do have the webinars coming up over the next few days about New Orleans to Sturgis and the ultimate Nevada road trip. And I think that's about enough that anybody wants to hear from me. So what I'm going to do, no, it's not, because I'm going to talk about the motorcycles. I forgot about this part. Sorry, David and Nick. Just an example of the bikes that we do have on offer. This is not an exhaustive list. It's just really just to give you an idea of what we do have available as we are riding through the States. And also to just a reminder again about a seat and van option. This is a crucial add-on option for us when we are doing our Elite Series. So now I'm going to switch over and hand it over to David as he takes us on his birthday ride coming up in May on Route 66. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks, Walter. There's a bit of a backstory to this as well. Before we actually do this Route 66, the handcrafted tour that we do out of Vegas that goes down to Route 66, we actually did, Walter and I did my 66th birthday. I actually turned 66, stepping onto 66. So let's think about this Route 66 ride we're doing. This time is David is leaving being 66, but going to enjoy 66. So we start off in Chicago, but the first day, as always, one should not ride. You will be jet lagged, you'll be exhausted. Why would you want to be on a motorbike and not enjoying the beauty of Chicago? Wonderful place, have a look around. And that night you get to meet your fellow riders. Besides me, there's a welcome dinner and we can start to talk about all the things we're going to do and not do. But there's nothing we're not doing because we're on Route 66 getting our kicks. The next day, my birthday, we're on the road. We start off and we're in Chicago and we're heading for Springfield. Fun fact, 34 places in the US are called Springfield, and that's excluding the one in The Simpsons. That one doesn't get a count, although they're American. So we picked up the bikes in the morning and we're on our way. We're on 66. We're heading for the Pacific Coast. We're on the Pontiac Trail. As you can see, that's the Route 66 Pontiac, Illinois Museum. We'll see things like the giant launching pad giant, which you've all seen. He's got a rocket in his hands. And then we'll start to get the feel for the Mother Road. It's a bit tricky doing the Mother Road 66 because they keep putting interstates on there. It's like trying to get from Sydney to Melbourne and stay on the old 31, but there's still more 66 than 31. Day 3, we're heading from Springfield and we're going to St. Louis in Missouri. We've crossed another state line. This is the famous Chain of Rocks Bridge. It was the way they all used to go in on the 66 routes in the 50s and the 60s. It's got a bend in it. It's really strange. Americans don't seem to be able to make straight bridges around this area. I think they were paid per foot instead of trying to get from A to B. They were doing like a, let's do a variation via, as they would say, Z. So we're now entering the gateway to the west, St. Louis, the mighty arch over the Mississippi River. Under this bridge is the Mississippi River as well. And St. Louis, the best live music and the barbecue ribs. Nice overnight at St. Louis. The next day, we're on 66 again, and we're heading out towards Joplin. The Devil's Elbow, which you can see on this, is Devil's Elbow. There's a bridge there. It's quite a deadly one. As I said, with the chain of rocks, they can't make straight bridges. This is another bent one. Some lovely back roads here. We'll also get to see the second largest rocking chair. It used to be the largest till someone in another state decided they wanted the title, so they took it off them. So now they're known as the second largest rocking chair, but the largest one in Missouri. So we're in Joplin for the night. We're heading out of Joplin the next day, and we're heading for Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City, if you don't know, well, Oklahoma, sorry, not the city, but Oklahoma is the largest length in one state of Route 66. So we're going to be on 66 in this state for the longest of the whole duration. So this is Oklahoma, and I will expect you to be singing all the songs from Oklahoma, the movie, like Oh, What a Wonderful, I can't remember the song's called.
Oh, what a wonderful morning.
That's the one. That's why.
Oh, what a wonderful day.
He's like the DJ, our Nick. He just knows songs. Fortunately, I don't have to put up with him singing through the center.
Oh, yes, you.
So Oklahoma, we're off to Texas. The big wide open spaces, Amarillo. The older stretches of Oklahoma's Route 66 will go underneath our tires as we head this way out. We're heading out the Chisholm Trail section, and there's another Route 66 museum. As if it's not old enough, they've got museums to remind you that it is that old, and that'll be in Clinton, which we must stop at, not because of the past president, but that's where the good museum is. We're going to enter and go along the Texas Panhandle on the southmost western part of the Great Plains. Special treat tonight, we're going to the big Texan steakhouse in Amarillo. Its claim to fame, the 72-ounce steak, and they promise anyone who can eat the entire dinner entirely in less than an hour, you get it for free. So we'll see how good your gutson goes. The next day, we're heading out of Amarillo again, and we're going from Texas. Oh, this is the Cadillac Ranch. Some people would suggest it was the best use for a Cadillac. I'm not that cruel. I wouldn't say things like that. Cadillacs are nice. You can't get them in Australia. So this is Cadillac Ranch. If we get a chance to get a spray can, we'll do some spray painting. You're allowed to. You don't get arrested for that one. Then from there, we'll head across from Adrian in Texas. At the ghost town of Glen Rio, we can stand with one foot in New Mexico and the other in Texas. And you thought Texas was big. From here, we're going to Comanche Indians to see the mesas, the mountains, the cacti, the pines, and that's what defines the territory around here. We're heading to the high plains, the altitude of Santa Fe in central New Mexico. It's one of the oldest and most beautiful cities in New Mexico. Oh, in the States, actually, not just in New Mexico, because that's where it is. And this is Santa Fe. It's a stopping point and our base for the next 2 nights. We've got to have a bit of a look around. And also, our little bottom might be getting a little tired of being on our Harley seats. Although we take it easy each day riding, it's still nice to have a day off, especially when you're in a place like Santa Fe. From here, after our 2 days off, we head off and we're going to Gallup. We're staying in New Mexico. First, we're going to Albuquerque, New Mexico's largest city. It's got 1/3 of the state's population. We'll cross the Rio Grande, the Grand River, and head west out in the open country in the Navajo wilderness, skirting the mesas and the bluffs, and we're heading to Laguna. Then we're at Grants, through a national forest, and we're still on 66 as we roll into Gallup, the old railway town and Indian stronghold. From here, the next day we go from Gallup and the famous Winslow, Arizona. Nick will tell you it's done by the Eagles, and it's called Take It Easy. That's the song. There is a guitar there as well, but I don't think you can play it. I'm not sure. But we'll find out. That's something we can do while we're there. That's part of the experience. It's beyond the ride. And if you're really lucky, I'll sing the Eagles song.
Lucky or unlucky?
Very lucky. Extremely lucky. Wonderfully lucky. Walter has sung with me, so he knows how wonderfully I don't sing. Okay, so from there, we're going across. But before we get to the Grand Canyon, which you can see here, we'll be going through Flagstaff, Williams, and then heading for our overnight, which will be at the South Rim. Nick was saying to me earlier that the South Rim is the most picturesque and the best part to view the Grand Canyon. So that's what we're going to find out. That's part of that experience on this part of the ride. So from the Grand Canyon, we will move on and head towards Laughlin in Nevada. But we've got some Arizona to catch up with. Some of the places along the way, Seligman. I'm hoping that we'll get a chance to stop at the Roadkill Cafe. But don't kill something because they will grill it. They're that kind of folk. From Seligman, we're going to go to a little place called Hackaberry with the general store, and then on to Kingman. That's where I was last year for my birthday when I did the big step out, turning 66. And after Kingman, we're heading for Oatman, but along the way, the place you can see behind me is Cool Springs. It's a very interesting place. Some could say cool. I'd say feral, but you could say it's cool. From there, we end up in Oatman. From Oatman, we'll continue along to Laughlin, and we've gone onto the Colorado River. From Laughlin, the next day, we're going to the city that never sleeps, Las Vegas. Now, remember, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, unless I'm there and I've got a camera. Then everyone will know everything because I'll post it on Facebook. So make sure your friends are not on my Facebook account. From here, we'll be going through the Mojave Desert and over through to the Hoover Dam, and that overnight in Vegas, we head off to Victorville in California. We've crossed another border. That's the beauty of 66. You do all these border crossings, but you don't have border crossing gates or anything to worry about. This is one of the parts near Victorville. As you can see, it looks like my next purchase of an American vehicle. Nothing like a good pickup. We see the Joshua Trees, the cacti, and the rock of volcanic rock. Then from Victorville the next day, we have ended the trail. We're in Santa Monica. Santa Monica is the pier. The Route 66 actually finishes 3 blocks before we get here, but the park's not that in. MacArthur Park's where you do a cake thing. You don't really do the end of 66. So we're better off going to Santa Monica. When we arrive, we'll go down, collect our certificate to show that we have survived Route 66. There's no special certificate for surviving it with me, unfortunately. But you never know.
Maybe we need to create one, a birthday gift.
A birthday.
Yeah, we can make one.
I can make one. I'll find someone who's technically not challenged like me, such as Nick. So that's where we are. That's what we've been doing for 14 days. We've traveled along our 15th day. We're in LA. You can stay on longer, maybe pop down and see the mouse. The mouse's house is now 100 years old. The whole Disneyland is that old. You can go and see lots of things around there. You're not limited to just staying on this ride. We can hire you a bike for a bit longer, and you can go and check out the canyon rides around LA. So I'm looking forward to seeing you on my birthday ride. So come along and see what it's like.
Awesome. Thanks, David. I just wish that I was able to join that ride. Unfortunately, some of us have to stay back home and work, hey, David?
I'm sleeping, I'm working.
Oh, it's going to be amazing. Yeah, it's such a great route going from Chicago through to LA and all the stops along the way. I mean, you've touched on some today, but there's obviously so much more. If you're watching this, then make sure you do jump onto our website and have a look. It's got all the details on there. You can see here, there's a lot of tour inclusions. The dates that we are going on David's birthday ride is departing, or the first day of the tour will be May 25th. That's where we're meeting in Chicago. And then we'll be arriving and departing from LA, the last day being 8th of June. As David said, you can extend on from there. We have a lot of different options available for you. If it's as simple as going to Disneyland, or if you would like to do some shopping, in the outlet malls. There are some great options if you'd like to pop down to San Diego or into Mexico. There's just so many different options after that as well, if you would like. So let us know what your preferences are. You can see the prices up on there. So if you're riding by yourself, or if you have somebody joining you, then we have all those options available. If you need more information, then contact David. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to have a chat to you about his birthday ride. It will be something quite special. So you can, not quite sure if you can see him there in the middle of that sign, but I'm sure that Rider Bear, well done, David, will be joining us. He's our mascot. He goes on our tours and does a lot of interviews along the way. So make sure that if you are on the ride, that you do get interviewed by Rider Bear. We do have some upcoming webinars. So we will be talking about our amazing tour from New Orleans through to Sturgis, and that'll be tomorrow evening. That'll be recorded. So if you're interested, let us know. We will send you that recording. And then next Monday, on the 6th of March, we'll be talking about this amazing tour that we're taking through the state of Nevada, taking in a number of their scenic routes. We will be riding on the loneliest road in America on this trip. We'll also be riding around Lake Tahoe, so something very special in there. I will just say that if you are not sure about this trip from New Orleans to Sturgis, because a lot of the rides really are much shorter distances over on the West Coast that will go from Denver or Salt Lake City or from San Francisco through to Sturgis. We have crafted this tour from New Orleans, and it really takes in so much Americana that it'll leave you reeling, I think, because we take in all the Civil War stuff, the history there. We've got Memphis, Nashville. We go to St. Louis, we ride Route 66. We come up, we go to the Museum of Speed through Kansas City, and then we come up through the Badlands up into Sturgis. So this definitely has something for everyone. And again, just a reminder on these tours that we do have our seat and van option for those that would like to join us, but do not want to be on the back of the bike for the entire trip, or in fact at all. You can stay on there for the duration. So we look forward to welcoming you. Don't forget our details are there, so you can contact David to Ride the World Motorcycle Tours. Got his mobile number there, or more importantly, jump onto ridetheworldmotorcycletours.com, and you will have all the details for all the information that we've got there that we provide you with today, and so much more. So thanks, David. Thanks, Nick. Look forward to catching up with you guys in live soon, but also to our next webinar tomorrow night. Thanks, guys.
See you guys then. Look forward to meeting you on the ride.